Insightful podcasts by informative hosts. Insights into Things, a podcast network. Welcome to Insights into Technology, a podcast exploring the latest in computers, networking, home automation, mobile computing, and all things technology related. Our hosts will take a deeper dive into the latest and greatest in tech trends and give you the information you need to enable your tech-centric world.
This is Insights into Technology, episode 25. From PDFs to patient monitors, nothing is safe. I'm your host, Joseph Whalen, and this is your tech news of the week. Our first story comes to us from Pierluigi Paganini at Security Affairs. The free converter that could cost everything. The FBI has issued a warning about a surge in scams involving free online document converters that infect users' devices with malware. Cybercriminals are exploiting these tools to steal sensitive information, including personal data and banking details, and to deploy ransomware. Often users remain unaware of the infection until significant damage has occurred. The FBI advises caution when using such online services and recommends keeping antivirus software updated to mitigate these risks. While free online services offer convenience, they also serve as vectors for cyber threats. Regularly updating antivirus software and exercising caution with online tools are critical steps in protecting personal and organizational data. The FBI's proactive warning highlights the importance of official agencies in educating the public about emerging cyber threats. So this is dealing with free online converters that do PDF conversions and so forth that are embedding malware into the files as they're doing the conversions. Employees often use these tools unknowingly, creating entry points for attackers. So the one thing as an IT organization you want to do is immediately ban unauthorized converters or offer vetted internal tools that can do the work that people need to get done that they're going to these converters for. There's a significant risk of data exfiltration here as uploaded files. And when you use these services, you upload a file to their web service, they do the conversion, then you download the converted file. Uploaded files can be scraped for personally identifiable information, credentials, corporate secrets, and much more. So you need to train your employees on how to safely handle sensitive documents. Obviously, you're not putting contracts or employee health information or anything else up there that's sensitive, or even proprietary information that's commercially proprietary. There is a delayed detection factor here, which oftentimes results in bigger damage. The malware usually goes unnoticed until ransomware or data theft occurs, and this is pretty common. You find a lot of these malwares will get a foothold into an organization and kind of go dormant at that point in time. They may be passively gathering data. They may be scanning the network for other intrusion prevention systems or weaknesses. And at some point in time, either time-based or actionable or something else, remotely triggered, they activate and then release whatever their payload is, or they start exfiltrating data. They may start encrypting your data and so forth. But by this point in time, they've already been in your network probably for weeks or months at that point. So the damage itself is done. So you need to be aware of this before they get embedded. This particular issue also highlights the potential for policy and training gaps as well. There tends to be a lack of clear tool usage policies in many enterprises that put the enterprise at risk. If you implement strict cybersecurity guidelines and run regular training, give people the tools they need to do their job so they don't go out to find tools that they think will help them that ultimately turn out to be a danger to them and to the organization. So this is a growing threat. And again, this kind of goes along the lines of what we've been talking about the last few weeks, where a lot of malicious actors are now capitalizing on what were once trusted sources of service or data or something else, where they're going to capitalize on what businesses are doing at this point in time. So you have to be very careful when it comes to something along the lines of using an external server, especially when they're requiring you to exfiltrate data. And most of your document management services, even if you talk about Microsoft OneDrive or Teams or DocuSign or anything like that, requires you to take a document outside of the protected nature of your network. And you always need to be wary of those. Vet them, make sure. And it's not just a one-time process. It's one of these things where you have to constantly reaffirm that they are a trusted source, keep up on any news that they have, any breaches that they're experiencing. You have to do your due diligence. You can't just one and done certify them and be done with it. So it's definitely an area of concern. And next up, Security Week's Edward Kovacs talks about digital wallet and deep pockets. The European Commission has unveiled a $1.3 billion investment plan under the Digital Europe program for 2025 to 2027, targeting enhancements in cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and digital skills. A significant portion of this funding is dedicated to bolstering the EU's cyber resilience, including initiatives like the EU Cybersecurity Reserve, aimed at safeguarding critical infrastructures such as hospitals and submarine cables. There seems to be a rash of random incidents of undersea cables now being torn up or dragged with anchors. Some people are speculating it's on purpose. Some people want to claim that it's an accident. But every time one of these lines is severed, you're cutting off probably tens of thousands of circuits coming over fiber optics and seriously disrupting network conditions. But the key to that is not so much the network disruption. The network's usually smart enough to route around it, but typically that route around may go through questionable links or questionable circuits or routers and may expose you to additional danger. Additionally, the investment will support the development of the EU's new digital identity wallet, designed to protect personal data and prevent fraud. Beyond cybersecurity, the funds will facilitate the development and accessibility of generative AI applications, support digital innovation hubs, and promote digital skills training and education across member states. This substantial investment underscores the EU's commitment to strengthening its technological infrastructure and enhancing digital competencies among its citizens. I can't help but wonder if this is actually a direct result of the Stargate project that the United States has been trying to spearhead to get outside investment in AI and to build up AI infrastructure. This, to me, is an answer to that from the European Union, most likely. So a couple of things that you probably want to do, especially if you're operating in the European theater right now, is update your response plans to make sure they align with all new goals, all new policies, and procedures. So update your incident response playbook to match ENISA's guidelines. Run tabletop exercises. I'm in the process of developing some of these for my staff just to kind of keep their mind fresh. But tabletop exercises with external coordination in mind, where you can bring in some of your third-party vendors and help you to really shore up your defenses. You probably also want to prep for new regulation. This is just the tip of the iceberg as to what the European Union is going to be doing to try and improve their overall cybersecurity posture. And inevitably, that usually is followed by new regulation. So assess security gaps now in light of the NIS2 and coming EU mandates. Build scalable vendor audit remediation programs. It's important to keep in mind that your vendors are your partners in this, whether they're hardware vendors that you're buying servers, computers, routers, network equipment from, or they're your vendors that you're getting your software and your licensing from, the Microsofts and the Googles, depending on what services and what suites you use. These guys are your partners. They already have programs in place to help with cybersecurity. Reach out to them, find out what they can do to help you with your training and preparation. You probably want to modernize your identity and access. That's one of the things, even over the short lifespan of the show so far, identity management has evolved significantly. Evaluate the authentication systems for EU digital ID compatibility and adopt privacy by design for onboarding. That'll help you moving forward regardless of what regulations and policies come out. Invest in talent. Now, this is, probably one of the biggest things people fail to do anymore is invest in the right talent to get the job done. Partner with EU training hubs and universities, upskill your current staff through internal certification programs, and keep it fresh. You can't expect someone to take one certification exam and it lasts for more than 12 months at this point in time. Education is an ongoing process, and you want to make sure that the talent you're bringing in is receptive to continuous learning. The other thing you want to do, and this is something that's not unique to the European Union, but you want to govern your AI use. We've all talked about how powerful, how dangerous, and in some cases, how fragile AI is. Establish AI governance boards and pilot compliance within your own organization or even within your own industry. You may be a pioneering company in your industry who's found new ways to use AI. Reach out to other people in your industry, even if they're competitors. Build a rapport. Establish standards. Secure AI projects under the EU AI Act. And most importantly and finally, think strategically. This is something that it's tough to do on a day-to-day basis. Everyone has bottom lines and deadlines they have to worry about. So it's difficult to always keep the long-term goals in mind. Engage early with EU cybersecurity initiatives to manage your risk, gain contract advantages, and boost your long-term resilience. This is just another example of how different environments and different organizations and different theaters in the world are changing and adapting to cybersecurity. And I don't think you're going to see this stop anytime soon. You need to be very adaptive and willing to change in order to keep up with all of the updates in technology. Let's see. Next up, we have Maury Haber from Dark Reading telling us about The Doctor Will Patch You Now. The FDA is playing an increasingly critical role in the cybersecurity of medical devices as these technologies become more connected and vulnerable to cyber threats. In a piece from Dark Reading, experts underscore that the FDA's authority now includes requiring device makers to submit software bills of material, which we've talked about in the past, patch management strategies, and vulnerability disclosures as part of pre-market submissions. This shift marks a significant evolution from traditional device regulation to a model that incorporates proactive cyber defense. As hospitals and healthcare systems face rising ransomware threats, the FDA is working with CISA and the Health and Human Services to create a unified strategy to secure everything from infusion pumps to implantable devices. However, the agency's resources and staffing are being tested, especially after the recent departure of key personnel. Industry voices warn that underfunding or instability in this area could slow progress, leaving patient safety and data at risk. The takeaway here: cybersecurity is now a core component of medical device safety. It's no longer an afterthought. And obviously, having it in the forefront like that is a good thing. I happen to be a wearer of a medical device myself. I have a continuous glucose monitor that I run. And while there's no immediate threat, like it's not hooked up to an insulin pump or anything like that. So if something happens, if the device fails, or even if someone accesses the device, they're just going to get my sugar readings. They can't induce anything harmful through that. But that's not the case elsewhere. You have implantable devices like pacemakers. You have neural devices that are being used now. All of these are susceptible to outside malicious attacks. And really, I think the biggest concern is less about attacking these devices and more about these devices not being thoroughly tested. You know, it's one thing when a printer driver fails and you can't print out your reports at work. It's a whole nother thing when that same type of failure occurs with a heart monitor or a glucose pump or a pacemaker and could potentially be life-threatening. That's kind of where it's rather scary. As the FDA ramps up its cybersecurity oversight of connected medical devices, commercial and enterprise IT leaders, especially in healthcare and adjacent sectors, now face new operational, regulatory, and strategic considerations. And the first one we'll talk about is regulatory. With these changes now, regulatory risk is now a shared burden. Hospitals and healthcare providers, they're going to be expected to vet their vendors based on these new security standards. And that's a good thing. We just talked about having to vet your vendors on a regular basis, reconfirm them. Failing to do so could expose them to legal liability or compliance penalties if a breach occurs through an insecure device. What can you do to guard against these types of things? Well, you can update your procurement checklists and include FDA cybersecurity compliance in those checklists. Again, require software bombs, software bills of material, and require vulnerability remediation roadmaps during your RFP with your vendors. You need to make sure that your vendors are, one, aware of the potential risks, and two, have a plan to deal with it. That's not to say that they're going to have bulletproof devices. Problems are going to happen. They always do. It's just the nature of technical devices. But when they happen, you need to have competent people there knowing what to do and how to respond to them. And you vet that in the beginning here. Your software bombs become your supply chain security baseline. You can pass your software bomb information up the food chain there and make the whole process easier. This mirrors broader trends in software supply chain security. Hospitals and even insurers may be asked to track third-party components in their medical systems, something that was once limited to software companies only. You need to invest in your SBOM, your software bomb management tools. A few of them out there are SPDX and Cyclone DX. You should conduct regular SBOM reviews with vendors and assess exposure to vulnerabilities like Log4Shell. There's a number of named vulnerabilities out there right now that are targeting these devices, and you need to be aware of them. This also highlights the fact that cybersecurity is now being seen as a safety issue. Now, it should have for the longest time. I mean, cybersecurity deals with everything that has to do with technology. Air traffic control, power systems, water filtration, your gas plants, any petroleum plants, anything that runs on a computer is a safety issue. CIOs and CISOs in healthcare must treat device vulnerabilities with the same urgency as clinical risks, moving security conversations from the IT department into executive and medical leadership at this point. That doesn't mean you exclude IT. IT is going to provide you with the subject matter expert that you need, but you need to be aware of where these risks are. Establish cross-functional response teams, including clinicians, IT, and legal. Simulate incident response scenarios involving compromised medical devices. A lot of these things are no different than what we do with any other technology right now. The difference is you're talking life and death. You're not just talking dollars, and time now. So it's one of those things that results in a higher profile because the consequences as a result are higher. The FDA shift marks a major transformation in the cybersecurity landscape for the healthcare industry. It elevates security from an IT consideration to a core safety and compliance requirement. Enterprise IT leaders in healthcare must act now to adapt purchasing policies, improve supply chain transparency, and coordinate security operations across all departments. The balance between innovation and compliance and operational safety will define the next generation of connected healthcare. And as a person who wears a connected healthcare wearable device, it's something that hits near and dear to me. So I'm glad to see they're taking it serious, and I'm glad to see that they're improving the cybersecurity on these devices. That was all we had for our first segment. Before we take a quick break here, I do want to invite you to reach out, give us your feedback, tell us how we're doing. Are we talking about the articles that matter to you? Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? We'd love to hear your feedback. You can email us at comments@insightsintothings.com. You can call us and leave a voicemail for us. We'll get you on the show as soon as we can. The call-in number is 856-403-8788. Again, that's 856-403-8788, or you can find links to all that and more on our official website at www.insightsintothings.com. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of your favorite gaming podcast finishing with a play?
Oh, no!
Well, check out No Credits Rolled, where we play the games but rarely finish them. How's it going, folks? I'm Sam Whalen, your friendly host at No Credits Rolled, the ultimate gaming podcast, where we dish out the latest scoops and reviews on all your beloved video games.
Hey, listen!
Not only that, but we spice things up with some guest interviews and even give you, yes, you, a chance to have your say. Tune in every other week for a fresh dose of No Credits Rolled, available on all major podcast platforms, and hit us up on social media at No Credits Rolled. So why wait? Let's dive into the gaming world together, where finishing games is optional, but the fun is guaranteed.
Welcome back to Insights into Technology. Next up, Lawrence Abrams from Bleeping Computer tells us that Windows 11 is going full cloud cult. Microsoft cracks down on local account setup in Windows 11, but users find a new loophole. Microsoft has officially removed the bypassed NRO.cmd script from the latest Windows 11 Insider Preview build. That script has been the go-to workaround for setting up the OS without a Microsoft account, something users who value privacy or prefer offline setups often relied on. This move is part of Microsoft's broader push towards cloud integration, requiring an online Microsoft account during setup enables tighter integration with cloud-based services and centralized management. From Microsoft's perspective, it enhances both security and user experience. and we know how concerned Microsoft is about security. But not everyone sees it that way. Privacy-conscious users say the change limits control over their own systems, me being one of those people. By making local account setup more difficult, Microsoft may be nudging or forcing users into a more connected, less private ecosystem. That said, the workaround crowd isn't giving up just yet. A new trick surfaced on X, formerly Twitter, courtesy of user Wither or Not, and confirmed by Bleeping Computer. When you hit the, quote, let's connect you to a network screen during installation, pressing Shift F10 opens a command prompt. From there, typing start space ms-cxh local only, one word, launches a hidden window where you can create a local account. No Microsoft login required. This method is simpler and possibly more deeply baked into the OS than previous hacks, meaning it might survive longer, but for how long, that's not clear. So what is Microsoft's motive to this? Well, I can pretty much guarantee you it's not for the safety or convenience or benefit of the users, because most of what Microsoft does is never that. Centralized user accounts support security policies, password recovery, device syncing, and cloud features, which is wonderful if you're in a centralized organization that manages it. If your work, I'm sure, will handle something like that. But what's the cost to user autonomy? Leaping Computer was quoted as saying, this command makes it much easier to use a local account when setting up Windows 11, even compared to the previous bypass NRO method. It reinforces the persistence of privacy-minded users in circumventing limitations. So what is the impact on privacy-conscious users? Well, it forces a choice between convenience and control. And it very well may drive users toward Linux or older Windows versions or alternative builds. I'll be perfectly honest. I just dug out one of my old MacBook Pros. I figured I'd resurrect it. It was one that ran Windows 10 fantastic. And I installed Linux. I installed Linux Mint on there, and I'm loving it. It's working perfectly fine for what I need to do. So I think Linux, and for some time now, this isn't some major revelation. Linux for some time now has made itself a very viable replacement for the other mainstream operating systems like Windows and Mac OS. It's true 20 years ago when we were playing around with Linux, it was pretty immature at the time, and it was a toy. It was a hobbyist type thing. But nowadays, it's mainstream. I mean, you look at Chrome OS and other alternative operating systems like that, you can see where the downfalls of a large bloated operating system like Windows comes in. So there's always the debate of security versus autonomy. Centralized accounts make sense in an enterprise security environment. Having centralized control over the devices in my network allow me to enforce automatic updates and virus scans and shut systems down when they become threats. I can see what software is installed. I can regulate it. I can control through policies what gets installed, what doesn't, what drives get mapped. So it works in an enterprise. But for individual users, especially in regions with limited connectivity, this is probably going to be very intrusive for them, and it's going to cause problems. The big question is this an overreach, or is it just progress? Microsoft has a history of using heavy-handed tactics to get adoption improved. And does requiring a Microsoft account really benefit users? I don't think so. I usually don't use my Microsoft account on mine. I want to be able to choose when I use it. The other question is, does it serve corporate goals more than consumer preferences? And I think the answer is absolutely there. Microsoft is trying to leverage itself. I think they have Apple envy. Apple is this closed ecosystem that they have control over, that they can dictate terms on, and Microsoft, I think, wants to get there because it makes their life easier. When they have a environment that they can control and they can dictate, it requires less testing on their part because you're locking. That's also why they're putting in these ridiculous requirements for hardware now. It's so that they have some control over it. And as annoying as I find it, it makes perfect sense. And if I was in their shoes, I would probably want to do the same thing to make my job easier, to make support cheaper, and to keep the product out there and functioning more. So this doesn't surprise me, but don't kid yourself and think that this is for the benefit of their users and their customers. Next up, the Record's Suzanne Smalley tells us the inheritance of obligations. In the wake of the 23andMe recent bankruptcy filing, the Federal Trade Commission has issued a directive emphasizing that any purchaser of the company's assets must adhere to existing privacy policies concerning the handling of consumers' genetic and personal data. You'll remember last week we talked about the bankruptcy filing and the concern about users removing their data from the service itself before the sale, any sale happens, because according to the terms and conditions, your data became part of that sale and could be parceled out to whoever was the highest bidder. FTC Chair Andrew Ferguson highlighted that 23andMe's privacy commitments assure users control over their data, including the ability to delete personal information at will. These assurances extend to prohibitions against sharing data with insurers, employers, public databases, or law enforcement without appropriate legal orders. The FTC underscores that such promises must be upheld even in the event of a sale or transfer to the company's assets. So embedding strong data governance and legal protections in all corporate agreements, I think there's a lesson to be learned here for that. You want to make sure that whoever you're giving this kind of information, let's face it, your genetic data is immutable. You can't change it. Once it's out there, once it's out of your control, there's nothing you can do. You can't change your genes. They're like fingerprints. You're not. It's not something that you want to give away readily, and you certainly don't want to give it away to somebody who's not going to preserve it. So far, 23andMe has been very good about this. Fortunately, the government's stepping in here to make sure that that policy continues on. This is also a good time to talk about security basics again, using encryption, putting in your access controls. So I was working with my wife on this last week, encouraging her basically to get in there and get her data off the system and delete it. And there is a process that they have in place where you can go in, you request your data, you can download it for her. And I don't know if this is because there's an excessive number of people that are using this service right now, but it's taking upwards of a week or longer for her to get her data, which in a digital environment like this is just ridiculous. I mean, we're talking, it's taking almost as long as it took to do the cheek swab and send it in for an analysis at this point in time. And I can't help but wonder if 23andMe was just dragging their feet on this and if it's going to pick up now with this new mandate by the FTC. But it definitely, I mean, I don't think my recommendation from last week has changed at all. Get your data off of there. If you want to preserve it, they have the ability to download it. But regardless of what you do, get it off of their systems and out of their environment. An apple a day might still get you hacked, according to Matt Kapko from Cybersecurity. Apple has issued a critical security update in March 2025 to patch two actively exploited zero-day vulnerabilities affecting iPhones, iPads, and Macs. According to Apple and corroborated by cybersecurity analysts, the flaws exist in WebKit, the engine behind Safari, and could allow attackers to execute malicious code if a user visits a compromised website. These vulnerabilities have reportedly been used in targeted attacks, though Apple has not disclosed specific threat actors, nor have they disclosed the details of these 0 days at this point in time until more people have patched and the problem has been mitigated. The update underscores the persistent targeting of Apple devices despite their reputation for strong security. I mean, anytime you make a claim like that, it's like claiming the Titanic is unsinkable. You've put a target on yourself. They're going to come after you, which fortunately Apple's patching fast enough to compensate so far. The update underscores, security researchers are urging users to install the updates immediately, especially in high-risk sectors like journalism, politics, and enterprise IT. The patch is available for iOS 17.4.1, iPadOS 17.4.1, and Mac OS Sonoma 14.4.1. The attackers increasingly exploiting browser components. This serves as a reminder that no platform is immune, and rapid patching remains one of the best lines of defense. So, mobile device security now becomes a new frontline concern that we have here. Organizations using Apple devices for business, especially in a BYOD or bring your own device environment, are at higher risk. The exploit path, which is in this case malicious websites, makes it particularly dangerous for users accessing corporate apps through mobile browsers. So what can you do? Well, obviously immediately push patches using your MDM solutions, whatever they happen to be. Jamf, Candy, Intune, whatever you use. Also enforce web filtering on corporate networks and mobile browsers. The malicious sites themselves are listed on blacklist sites right now, so you can get this information and basically block them either straight up on your firewall or block them through DNS queries as well. High-profile targets they talk about in this article here, and they talk about how they're at an elevated risk. Organizations like journalists, government organizations, defense contracting, and tech sector may already be in the attacker's crosshairs. These are soft targets, but they're soft targets with a high return rate. These attacks are likely part of a broader surveillance or espionage campaign. Prioritize patching for executive teams and staff with access to sensitive data. Enable lockdown mode on high-risk devices. I don't know how practical that is. It makes them almost useless. And consider threat modeling specifically for mobile endpoints. Zero-day exploits undermine perimeter-based security models. A lot of what we have in place right now to defend against these things are being bypassed because the users are initiating the action needed to bring these into your network. It reinforces the need for endpoint first and zero trust security models. WebKit-based exploits can bypass traditional detection methods by exploiting trusted application behavior. Again, it's this trust. Malicious attackers seem to be more interested in attacking our trust systems and undermining them, which makes us in turn more vulnerable as a result. Make sure you deploy behavior-based endpoint detection and response, or EDR tools, with Apple device support. Adopt a zero trust architecture. And what else did we have? Well, implement your security web gateway and use browser isolation and sandboxing for high-risk browsing activity. Just a couple of things that could help you mitigate some of these. So that was all we had for this segment. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back to finish up part 3 of our intro into artificial intelligence. We'll be right back.
Insights into Entertainment, a podcast series taking a deeper look into entertainment and media. Our husband and wife team of pop culture fanatics are exploring all things from music and movies to television and fandom. We'll look at the interesting and obscure entertainment news of the week. We'll talk about theme park and pop culture news. We'll give you the latest and greatest on pop culture conventions. We'll give you a deep dive into Disney, Star Wars, and much more. Check out our video episodes at youtube.com/insightsintothings. Our audio episodes at podcast.insightsintoentertainment.com, or check us out on the web at insightsintothings.com.
Welcome back to our special series on artificial intelligence. Today we're going to wrap up our introductory look at AI in the enterprise. We'll talk about large language models, transformer models, GANs, and diffusion models, and we'll delve in a bit into prompt engineering. A lucrative business, by the way. Lucrative career, at least. So, large language models and the rise and impact of large language models. AI-driven models like GPT-4, BERT, and PaLM are redefining how we interact with technology. The ability to understand, generate, and manipulate text at scale is unlocking new efficiencies across industries. Businesses that leverage LLMs effectively can automate workflows, enhance decision-making, and create personalized user experiences. Transformer models and attention mechanisms are an important part of AI. They've largely changed everything at this point. Prior to transformers and AI models like recurrent neural networks and long short-term memory, AI models struggled with sequential processing bottlenecks, which are slow and inefficient for long text sequences, and for getting long-range dependencies. They struggle with context in long conversations or documents. This is where transformers come in. So transformers are like a self-attention mechanism. Unlike the recurrent neural networks that process text one word at a time, transformers process entire sequences simultaneously. For example, understanding that bank means different things in riverbank versus financial bank by weighing contextual words. Some of the key advantages include parallelization, offering faster processing, which is ideal for training in large data sets, better retention of context, which improves coherence and meaning in generated text. Then there's scalability. This enables massive models like ChatGPT and Google's Bard. And there's a real-world impact that we've seen on this already. In search engines, for instance, Google's BERT or chatbots like ChatGPT or Bing AI, the translation tools like DeepL, they all now generate highly accurate responses due to these breakthroughs. So how do we use it in the enterprise? How are enterprises using large language models? Well, in business-driven applications, You have automated reporting and insights. So large language models analyze large data sets and generate executive summaries, financial reports, and legal documentation. For example, Bloomberg GPT is great for financial news analysis. I use ChatGPT a lot of times to prep the show notes, to write up summaries, to provide suggestions for segment titles, stuff like that. It's a wonderful tool. When you throw something at it, you have to have content to throw at it, and then it can do different wonderful things with that content. We're also seeing it used in AI-powered customer support. Chatbots understand intent, they handle multiple queries, and they provide 24/7 support. For example, AI chatbots in banking reduce call center loads, like Bank of America's Erica. Now, conversely, on the opposite side of the coin there, we've all probably been stuck in the hell of menus and talking to or conversing with an artificial intelligence to solve a problem online or on a phone call, when all you want to do is talk to a human. You know, if you get that 5 minutes with a human, you can get this problem solved. This is a sign of the times of where we're going. Personalized marketing and content creation is another example of enterprise use. AI generates ad copy, product descriptions, and even full blog articles, although I think a lot of people tend to frown on that when it's used for that. E-commerce brands use LLMs for personalized recommendations. Think of Amazon or Shopify. Code generation and automation is another one. We've seen this used almost exclusively so far for malicious purposes. There's a lot of development tools out there right now that leverage AI as helpers more than anything else. And most of the developers that I've talked about who have used AI will tell you that it's not the best at writing code, but it's effective at maybe troubleshooting code or doing code reviews or giving you suggestions. If you have a problem you can't figure out, it may give you a nudge in the right direction. Developers are using LLMs to write, debug, and refactor code. For instance, GitHub's Copilot assists software engineers by suggesting real-time code completions. And code completion's been part of IDEs for quite some time now. They're just a little bit smarter now. Overall, though, LLMs tend to reduce costs, enhance efficiency, and scale business operations while personalizing customer experiences. So AI functions in creativity as well. This is where GANs, or generative adversarial networks, and diffusion models come from. And they're kind of nowadays revolutionizing creativity. So a GAN is two neural networks. A generator creates images, music, or text, and a discriminator evaluates the realism of these. Deep fake technology is an example of this. AI-generated art from sites like DALL-E and AI music composition all fall into this category. They also employ diffusion models. And diffusion models work by iteratively refining noisy data into higher quality output. Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, Adobe Firefly, they all generate hyper-realistic images using this process. Now, industry adoption's a bit sporadic right now. You have a lot of people that are claiming copyright issues and creativity issues, and people don't want content that's exclusively created by AI. Some people want to tag that. But aside from generating original content, like an artist, a music artist, or anything like that, there's other areas where this technology tends to thrive. For instance, in advertising and marketing. AI can generate unique visuals for ad campaigns. It can assist in product mock-ups in fashion and design. fashion styling, 3D modeling, and even in film and media now, AI-powered video editing and script generation, deep fake of actors, they're all reshaping the entertainment industry right now. AI-driven creativity is expanding artistic possibilities, reducing costs, and speeding up production cycles. And a lot of the themes around AI right now are cost savings themes. They're not replacing anybody. They're simply trying to make us more efficient. Now, in the business application side of things, AI is capable of driving some market disruption. It's changing business strategy for a lot of people. Product prototyping is a great example. AI accelerates design iterations, enabling faster go-to-market strategies. Nike, for instance, uses AI for sneaker design before manufacturing. You can also get synthetic data for AI training. It eliminates privacy concerns while training AI models. For instance, healthcare industries are using synthetic medical data to train AI diagnostics without exposing patient information. And then there's, advertising. We've kind of touched on that, but AI is helping with personalized advertising now as well. AI analyzes user behavior to customize ads in real time. Spotify and Netflix use AI-driven recommendations all the time. We're just generally not aware of them. But businesses leveraging AI can automate creativity, streamline operations, and again, reduce development cycles and cost. So all this leads us to what is considered one of the most promising emerging careers right now, and that is prompt engineering. Why is prompt engineering essential? Well, what is it, first of all? So prompt engineering is the art of crafting precise inputs or prompts, if in AI terms, to optimize AI-generated outputs. It helps us to maximize AI effectiveness. Well-structured prompts equal higher quality responses. Poorer prompts result in misinterpretation, irrelevant answers, hallucinations, and so forth. Marketing companies are using it to write AI-optimized ad copy. That's great, in work if you want to reword an email. If you're writing an email, you want it to sound more professional or more sympathetic, however you want to go about it. It's used in research, generating insightful AI summaries, using AI to suggest optimized code. It's one of those things where you have to know what to ask for. If you're not a developer and you're trying to use it for code development, it's not really going to work out too well for you because you don't know what you're asking of it. Mastering prompt engineering is becoming as valuable as learning coding was in the 2000s. And AI overall is transforming business intelligence. AI analyzes purchase patterns, social media sentiment, and customer behavior. Think Walmart and other retail giants using AI to predict inventory needs. AI handles complex workflows, reducing human error. AI automates financial risk assessments in banking for a lot of institutions. And your AI chatbots provide personalized experiences, enhancing a customer engagement as well. Sephora's AI assistant suggests beauty products based on user preference. AI-driven analytics improve personalization, reduce costs, and enhance customer satisfaction. And let's face it, the AI revolution is just beginning. The shift from expert systems to machine learning to deep learning has been transformative, and it's been relatively short when we look at the timeline. Large language models and AI creativity tools streamline operations, boost efficiency, and drive personalization. Businesses must invest in AI literacy and ethical AI practices to stay competitive. Embracing AI is no longer optional. It's a competitive necessity. Companies that understand LLMs, GANs, and AI-driven automation will thrive in the future. So that was basically the conclusion of what I wanted to talk about for our AI deep dive, which really wasn't a deep dive, it was more of an introduction. That was all we had today. Before we do go, I want to take a moment to give a few shout outs to folks. We did have a Twitch subscription renewal since our last one. Our friends at the Second Sith Empire have renewed. They've been a subscriber for us for 50 months in a row now. Thank you so much for your support. They were an advertiser as well. They are a great fan of the show. If you do, by the way, if you do happen to have an Amazon Prime subscription, you do get a free monthly Twitch Prime subscription that you can use however you like. We would greatly appreciate it if you threw that our way. Little things like that help us keep the lights on around here. I also want to give a shout out to Crazy Fist 89 for following us on Twitch, and R. Thomas for throwing a like at us on our WordPress website. Thank you to you and every one of our listeners and viewers who are enthusiastically supporting the podcast. I greatly appreciate it. Before we do go, I do want to once again appeal to our listening audience and viewing audience to subscribe to the podcast. You can find audio versions of this podcast listed as Insights into Technology, or you can find audio and video versions of all of our podcasts listed as Insights into Things, anywhere you get a podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, etc. I would also invite you to reach out, give us your feedback, tell us how we're doing. You can email us at comments@insightsintothings.com. You can call us and leave a voicemail for us. You can reach us at 856-403-8788. Again, that's 856-403-8788. We do stream 5 days a week on Twitch at twitch.tv/insightsintothings. You can find high-res versions of all of our podcasts on YouTube at youtube.com/insightsintothings, and you can find all those links and more on our official website at www.insightsintothings.com. That's it. Another one in the books.